So today we got a question from Ethan, who is a young guy who's having a little bit of trouble with his mindset. He says he's been training for about 10 months now in jiu-jitsu, and he's been training a lot, like 5 times a week, multiple hours a day. He's competed in numerous competitions and won gold medals in all of them. He's even, to impress his coach, he's even jumped up a weight class to sort of challenge himself, and he won that weight class no problem. And so he says, he sent me this message, he's trying to go after this big goal of getting his blue belt within a year. So before the year is up, and he's 10 months in, so it's getting close. And he's wondering if there's something else he could do to try to impress his coach in order to get that blue belt. Now, again, he's a young guy, and as I'm gonna share, a lot of us do this with different stuff. May not be a belt issue, maybe other stuff. So I ask you, watching this, all you keyboard warriors out there, don't criticize the young guy, because you probably have your own hang-ups somewhere, right? We all have our own mental issues. But I asked him, I said, man, why do you want the belt so bad? Like, what is so important about a blue belt within a year? And he says, I think it's because I want to impress everyone. I want to be special, and I think getting a blue belt before a year up is pretty special. He said also, update, I just competed again and won 2 more gold medals. Congratulations, bro. So let's talk about that idea. I'm not going to give you tips to impress your coach, because I guarantee you, bro, you're already impressing your coach. You've been training really hard. You've bumped up weight classes. You've got a ton of gold medals. I'm sure your coach is impressed with your skills and your training. That's probably a definite, right? If you were to either get into their head or ask them questions, they could probably say they're impressed. But the issue that I want you to think about is it's going to be this issue of the goals that you're going through right now. Now, all of us, as I said earlier, have our own thing. It may not be the belt, but all of us have this thing where we're trying to push ourselves up and gain some self-esteem within our groups and to get validation from others. So much of what human beings put themselves through, what they buy, what they wear, is all to put on a face to sort of, again, build their self-esteem up. I went through the same thing in high school wrestling. I wasn't chasing after belts, but I was chasing after medals because all of my training partners were winning. We had a really good wrestling team. I wanted to be up on the podium with them. And I spent like months and months and months by myself, working out, pushing myself, trying to get in better shape so that the next year I could be better off and win those medals just like they were, right? It meant everything to me. When I got into jiu-jitsu, it was the same way. I was chasing after gold medals to impress my coach, to impress other people, to show that I'm good at something. Just like you want to be special. I wanted to be special too. I wanted to be good at something, and that was my way of doing it. So I grinded, I pushed it, and I would chase after medal after medal after medal in fights. It would be next fight, the whole thing. And throughout my life, I've done that for a long time. And goals are really good. They're really good because they give you this heightened focus that you just can't get. If you've got a meaningful goal, man, it's like nothing else. You wake up early, you stay up late doing your thing, studying for it, pushing yourself, or whatever it is. It's a beautiful thing. But there is a negative side to goals if you're too goal-driven, and that is you can't even enjoy it. Like for me, I would win a tournament or I would achieve something in like my life other than jiu-jitsu that was really meaningful to me, that I'd really focused on having, and then I couldn't enjoy the damn thing because I was already somewhere else. I was already focused on the next goal that I had for myself because I set another one, right? And what's going to happen is if you keep doing this, you're going to be trying to achieve a future that you're not even going to be at once you're there because you're going to be focused on something else. So you're going to get the blue belt, but now you're going to be looking for a purple belt, right? Because it's like, okay, I got my blue belt within a year. Now I want my purple belt within 2 years or something, you know, like whatever your arbitrary goal is. Or I hit this tournament, now I need this tournament. And I won the biggest tournament ever. Now I need to win the biggest tournament ever twice. I mean, there's always more. Humans have this insatiable sort of desire for things and to do more. And so you got to understand that. And so you have to, at some point, sort of take a step back and enjoy what you're doing and, what do they say, smell the roses, because you're doing special stuff. Think about the fact that all the guys that are competing with you, that you're competing against, your opponents, they're not winning, you're winning. That makes you special. You trained really hard and you're winning because of it. That's a beautiful thing. Give yourself a pat on the back and enjoy that moment. Enjoy those moments that you're having instead of being in the competition, winning the next gold medal, and then not getting the blue belt and then feeling bad about it. You're destroying this beautiful joy that you could be experiencing because you're hung up on this one thing that, you know, really, it's a bad goal anyway because you don't control it, right? Unless your coach gives you some objective that you need to hit. Chasing after blue belt's really silly because, again, you don't control that. You control your competitions, you control your training and your techniques. You don't control someone else's subjective view of you. Now, here's an idea. This may be a little bit out there. Maybe I'll lose you on this one, but this is something that's been useful to me. So Albert Camus was a French philosopher, And he had a lot of different writings and stuff like that. And one of his essays that he wrote was called The Myth of Sisyphus. Now, if you don't know the story of Sisyphus, Sisyphus was this is a Greek mythology. It was a king that was punished by the gods. And his punishment was to push a boulder up to the top of the mountain. And every time it got to the top, it would fall back down. It would just roll on back down the hill. And then he would have to go back to the bottom and push it back up over and over again for eternity, right? To do a meaningless task forever, right? Nothing worse for a human. And in his essay about Sisyphus, he sort of parallels us to Sisyphus. Because, again, Sisyphus is essentially doing something that's meaningless. It doesn't do anything, right? And when you think about humans, a lot of what we do, a lot of what we strive for is kind of meaningless to people. I mean, like jiu-jitsu competitions, nobody cares about what we're doing with jiu-jitsu competitions. And when you think about the grand scheme of everything, bro, you, your family, your loved ones, your friends, everyone is going to be gone someday. This whole planet will be swallowed by the sun someday. I mean, all of it will be gone at some point. So at the end of the day, there can be this meaninglessness about it. But at the same time, that then gives you the freedom to say, I can put my own meaning on the whole thing, and that's what he's getting at. He doesn't see it as a bleak thing. He sees it as a sort of a beautiful, liberating thing, because then you can really focus on what does this all mean to you. And so for you with your jiu-jitsu, and going back for Camus, he's talking about the fact that we, being like Sisyphus, pushing this boulder up and down the mountain, it's in those in-between moments that we have to imagine Sisyphus is happy, that he has some meaning in the middle of this, right? Not just the top, because it's going to fall back down, and not at the bottom, because he's going to have to push it back up. It's in the in-betweens. We have to find that meaningful points in those. And it's with our jiu-jitsu, it's the same way, right? It's what we do in life too, same thing. But with your jiu-jitsu, let's talk about that. So the top of the hill represents your blue belt, for instance, right? Okay, represents gold medals. You get to the top, well, now you're at the bottom. You get your blue belt, now you're at the bottom of the blue belts. Now you're going to go for purple belt. Now you're at the bottom. Now you got to do brown belt. You get it? You win your gold medal. Great. You won this gold medal. Well, now you're at the bottom. Now you got to train for the next competition, and you got to do that. Oh, great. You did that. Now we start back over, and you're always in this constant flow of up and down. But it's in the middle. That's where you've got to find what's meaningful to you. Because the goals will come and go, bro. But it's in that day-to-day stuff, the actually doing the stuff. We would say this as embrace the process or love for the process, right? We use it all the time. That's where you got to find the enjoyment out of this stuff. In the essay, he talks about the fact that with your life, if it is meaningless, or if it seems meaningless, right? Well, why not commit suicide? That's kind of he's kind of dealing with this question the whole time. And a lot of times there's reasons why we would not do such a thing. And it could be things like we have a family that we have to take care of, or we have friends we want to, be with, or we have experiences in life we want to have, whatever it is. We all have our own meanings to things. And so you can think about your own jiu-jitsu. Take out like the belts, take out the gold medals, right? And again, maybe this is a sloppy thought experiment. But if the belts were not a part of it, if the medals were not a part of it, if simply you had to train because you were going to train, would you quit jiu-jitsu? Would you stop doing it? If not, there's probably reasons why, and find out what those reasons are and begin to focus on those and enjoy those moments that you're doing day to day. And so again, that's kind of where I'm going to kind of stop with it. I don't want to get too out there for you. I'm sure this is probably kind of out there anyway. But those two things, right? Remember to enjoy what you're doing. Remember to enjoy those moments because you're doing special stuff, bro. Whether you realize it or not, you're doing special stuff. Enjoy that. Be happy with that, man. Again, like take a step back and look at what you're doing. It's a beautiful thing. So many of us, again, I'm almost speaking to myself like this because, again, we chase goals, we do big stuff. You have to enjoy what you're doing in those moments. And when you actually accomplish something, step back and be like, hell yeah, I did this. Take joy in that. Second half, find something in the middle. Forget about the belts. Forget about the medals. They're going to come and go, and your reasons for doing jiu-jitsu will change over time, but find something in the in-between. When you're pushing the boulder up the hill or when it's coming back down and you're reflecting, find what it is in the middle that you enjoy. That actual process. What is it about the actual training day to day that you enjoy? And that's what you focus on. And so that's my answer to you, Ethan. Hopefully that's useful to you. And anybody else is having a similar situation, hopefully that's useful to you. Guys, I'll talk to you next time.